أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم به نستعين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين الرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أرواحنا له فداء أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون صدق الله العلي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As we've mentioned before, the day of Friday, Jum'ah, it is Eid. It is a day of celebration. And particularly it is a day of celebration if one has not committed any sins or has disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This Jum'ah, which is June 19th, coincides with another celebration, and this celebration, it ties into the discussion that has been going on for the last few weeks since the unjust murder of George Floyd, and that is about human rights and particularly about black liberation and black lives. June 19th marks the holiday called Juneteenth. And it was particularly a holiday that was established in Texas, and since we are all in Texas, we should understand and know about this particular event. That Juneteenth was June 19th in 1865, when the slaves in Texas were informed that the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed and they were actually free. However, that Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1862. So for about 2.5 years after the government, the federal government, had freed everyone, Texas still maintained their slaves and their slave states and their plantations. So in 1865, June 19th, 1865, they were informed by one of the Union armies, Union generals, that they have been freed. So I want to use this day, which is a day also called Day of Liberation, celebrating end of slavery, or day that's celebrating freedom, to go back to the point that I was making just a day ago when we were speaking about the treasure of knowledge that we gain from Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus salatu wasalam, and particularly in developing a God-centered focus on how to cure these illnesses that has arisen in society. Illnesses that lead to racism, tribalism, or any of the other negative isms that divide mankind based on arbitrary and ad hominem factors. Imam Sadiq alayhi hafidhahullah, he pointed us towards this idea or this concept of maru'ah, humanity. That if we emphasize humanity, and particularly as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has outlined in the Quran, and as the Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus they have expressed in their teachings, then mankind and humanity, this world in itself, will be in a better state. That humanity, which is based on those 3 verses that we gave in our lecture about Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi hafidhahullah, those 3 verses which we should commit to memory. Verse 4 of Surah At-Teen, again, 95, chapter 95 of the Quran, verse 4, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says that He has created mankind in the best of fashions. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. And that beautiful and best of fashion in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created mankind in, He explains in the second verse, which I said we should commit to memory, and that is verse 13 of Surah Al-Hujurat, chapter 49 of the Quran, verse 13, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He states, Ya ayyuhan nas inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha, that He has created mankind from male and female. So the best of fashion is the male and female fashion. So therefore there should be no hatred towards males or females, no misogyny or no misandry. The third verse that we should commit to memory is verse 21, or excuse me, verse 22 of Surah Al-Rum. So chapter 30 of the Quran, verse 22, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He states that He has created you with different languages, وَاخْتِلَافِ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَأَلْوَانِكُمْ, that it is among His signs that He has created such differences. It is among His signs and His power, as He says in Surah Al-Hujurat as well, that He has made you into different nations and tribes. But the bottom line is that this is the best of fashioning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made. إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. So if we refer to that idea and concept of humanity, then all of these negative isms, all of these ad hominem differences that we make between ourselves would, insha'Allah, subside and go to the side. Cultivating this idea or this quality of humanity, of maru'ah, in the words of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi salatu wasalam, he states, لا تتم المروءة الرجل حتى, he says that the muru'ah, or this quality of being humane, or this quality of humanity, he says it is not complete and fulfilled unless. Then he states 4 things that a person must do in order to cultivate his or her humanity. So here, rajul does not mean man, it just means a person. To cultivate his or her humanity and to complete it. So what are these 4 things that Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, he states? He says, حَتَّى يَتَفَقَّهَ فِي دِينِهِ. So that individual must do in-depth research, in other words, to the best of their ability, to their capability, to research and understand their deen. And what that means as well, according to the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhim, is simply on a very simple level to understand and learn what is halal and what is haram. What are the things that I am permitted to do, and what are the things that I am prohibited to do by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And part of those things which we are permitted and prohibited to do, yes, that may be personal. Yes, we have to make our salat, we have to make our fast. But a great deal of those things which are halal and haram also deal with our interaction with one another. That whether we are being just with one another, whether we're being fair with one another, whether we're being honest with one another, whether we are treating each person with due respect. So one must do يتفقه في الدين. And part of that understanding of our deen, we'll refer back to those 3 verses which we mentioned, wherein Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He lays the platform for muru'ah, for humanity, for being humane, for developing that quality of being the best individual, the best human being that one can be. So one must understand their deen. The second thing that Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, he states, he says, وَيَقْتَصِدَ فِي مَعِيشَتِهِ, that individual must live, you could say economically. That person must not be someone who is wasteful, who does israf, but rather, if we are individuals that live within our means, we're not trying to take the rights of others. And this is a very, I think, interesting aspect when we look at the idea of humanity, that if each individual lived based on al-iqtisad, lived within the parameters of what's reasonable. This doesn't mean that no one can gain wealth and become rich and wealthy. No. It means that a person will not transgress another individual's right in order to gain that wealth. And when we look at the history of slavery, when we look at the history of when injustices have been launched against other people, then we see that it is mainly because individuals have developed, or people have developed, a greed for what others want. So you rob people and you steal their labor and you pay them nothing and you disrespect them. This is what slavery is. Likewise, we find the same thing, that when there is a land grab, when some individuals, no matter who's living on that land, no matter who possesses that land, they want to grab and seize that land for themselves, and those native individuals who are living on that land, that you do away with them. And this is because those individuals did not have that standard of humanity that the Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi he's outlining, that a person who wants to rise to the highest level and complete this quality of being human, then they must yaqtasida fi ma'isha. They must live within their means. They must not transgress the rights of others, take the possessions of others, which again we see in history. And to some accord, some reparations have been paid to certain individuals, but because today is Juneteenth as well, I want to emphasize this, that no slave has received any reparations for the work. Even those individuals who were kept into slavery 2.5 years after being freed, what did they receive? Nothing. However, there was reparations for the Japanese who were kept in concentration camps. There was reparations, some reparations for the Native Americans, and an apology that, oh, well, we have seized the land, we have displaced the native individuals, but for those individuals who remained in captivity, remained subservient for 2 years after the being free, there was no reparations for them. So these are things that we can do in order to, again, hone that quality of being human, to live within our means, to not cheat and transgress others' rights for our own personal interests. The third thing that Imam Ali he states in order to develop and to complete our quality of humanity, he says, وَيَصْبِرَ عَلَى النَّائِبَةِ إِذَا نَزَلَتْ بِهِ. To be patient in face of calamities, that if they befall us, the trials, those difficult times, that we need to be patient, developing that patience and not being hasty, not being irrational in those moments of difficulties and trials. The last thing and fourth advice of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi with regards to completing our humanity, he says, وَيَسْتَعْذِبَ مَرَارَةَ الْإِخْوَانِ, so, or إِخْوَانِهِ, so that individual who wants to hone and to complete his or her humanity, a quality of being human, then that individual must take the bitter moments that they have with their brothers and look at it in a favorable light. And here we know that Imam Ali alayhi when he uses this term al-ikhwan, he's taught us that we have a brotherhood and sisterhood which is of 3 types. One is a brotherhood or a sisterhood by blood, meaning that you share the same parents or you share the same relatives, that you're related by blood. And then you have those brothers, ikhwanu fid din, your co-religionists, that they have a level of brotherhood with you because they share the same religion. And then you have those individuals who may not be your relatives by blood, nor are they your relatives or your brothers or sisters by religion or through religion, but they are your brothers in humanity. At the very least, they are your brothers in humanity. And as Imam Ali والسلام, he says, in order to be truly human, that you will bear or يستعذب مرارة إخواني. That if there's some difficult moments that you have, or bitter moments that you have with your brothers, whether in blood or in religion or in creation, that you bear with it. You bear with it, and also doesn't mean that you stay mazloom. This is not the intent of the Imam, but you bear with it, and at the same time you correct your brother, because that is what a brother would do. In fact, that is the right of the brothers. When we look at the rights of a brother over another brother, rights over or one person over the other, it is to correct them. That if they are zalim, you assist them in becoming just. If they're mazloom, then you assist them to lift the yoke of oppression off of their necks. And so in either case, as Imam Ali والسلام, if we are truly to live up to that standard of being human beings, being the best human beings as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us in the Quran, and as we learn through the example of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad alayhim salatu wasalam, then we will bear those bitter moments, and we will work and strive to bring about justice by making our brothers just, holding them to justice, and those who are mazloom, those who are oppressed, that we stand with them until they receive their rights. And I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us courage and strength to live up to this standard of humanity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sets forth in the Quran, and that we are taught by the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salatu wasalam. And we pray for the hastened reappearance of Imam Zaman. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among His helpers, His companions, and those who sacrifice our lives for Him. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma kulli waliyika al-Hajjat bin Hasan salawatuka alayhi wa ala aba'ih fi hadhihi as-sa'ati wa fi kulli sa'a waliyan hafidha وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا بعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل